that the Election Commission's neutrality is judged by the displeasure that the ruling party has.
We have seen EC's press conference. The response looks like, as if it's coming from the government.
Election Commission of India was colluding with the BJP to steal elections.
This attitude of the Election Commission of not sharing information.
The voters are not responsible for explaining that. The other parties are not responsible. It is for the Election Commission to come clear.
CC Gyanesh Kumar's press conference, the way he conducted it.
क्या अपनी माताओं, बहुओं, बेटियों सहित किसी भी मतदाता की सीसीटीवी वीडियो आपको साझा करनी चाहिए क्या?
If the purpose of the press conference was to clear doubts, it certainly didn't serve its purpose.
The CCTV footage of the polling day. What is it that CCTV footage should not be shared? Why is it a big problem?
More than the timing, it was bad optics. It was believed that this is a mechanism for internal management.
On SIR is that the asking the citizenship itself, is that Election Commission's mandate?
No. Election Commission is the only institution created by the Constitution whose working does not depend on the government.
Hello and welcome to the Quint. Today, joining us is the former Election Commissioner, Mr. Ashok Lavasa, who has written a lot about Election Commission, Bihar, SIR and other issues related to the Election Commission. Today, we are going to cover all these aspects with him and get his view as to what is there in the Election Commission that is troubling all of us. Why Election Commission is not being transparent? There's so many questions out there, but the Election Commission seems to be brushing it aside. So, sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
So my first question to you is that there's a huge amount of growing distrust on the Election Commission and questions are raised time and again on the transparency. You've served that place for a long time and you know how things function. So I want to understand, when you were there, things were different or things have changed after you have left?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's an important question that you ask. First of all, what we need to understand is that the relationship between the Election Commission and the government is not as if that the two don't know each other. So the people in the government, they know the Election Commission as an institution very well. And also the fact that the 3 election commissioners are appointed by the government. So it is not as if that the two are strangers to each other. So to that extent, and the fact that election commissioners have worked in the government for 35 years, would also mean that they have relationships with people in the government. That having said, I think one needs to understand that when you're occupying a position like the Election Commission, which is a constitutional body, and the functions that you perform are that of an umpire, a referee, quasi-judicial functions also at times. So in that capacity, you need a certain degree of dispassionateness. So whatever be the expectation of the government, and I don't think you can blame the government for expecting what they do, but as far as the election commissioners are concerned, they have to understand the neutrality which is required in their job, and they have to handle whatever outreach the government might expect or go for them. So I think in order to understand the requirement of your job and the fact that people and the stakeholders themselves expect a certain degree of neutrality from you. In fact, why a certain degree? Total neutrality from you. So whether it is the ruling party or any other political party, I think they do expect, even the ruling party would expect that you are impartial. So that is the general lay. If, for example, if at all there is an inclination in the Election Commission, it is always towards the people who are in the opposition. For the simple reason that the ruling political party would generally be at an advantage. So that is the way this institution has always functioned.
What we have seen that there's a growing distrust in the sense that the transparency level, be it sharing the votes poll data, be it sharing the CCTV camera footage, or anything which you can see people demand or the opposition demand, there's a kind of a defense we see in the Election Commission. And as you said, that it's a constitutional body and we all are stakeholders, not just the political parties, but voters as well. So this attitude of the Election Commission of not sharing information, what do you have to say? And did you feel when you were there and what the situation right now it is?
I have always held one thing, and I don't mind repeating this again, since you mentioned that people are also a stakeholder. In fact, I think people are the principal stakeholder.
Absolutely. Elections are held for people. You know.
And even if you see the scheme of things as envisaged in the Constitution, perhaps Election Commission is the only institution created by the Constitution whose working does not depend on the government, in the sense that the job that Election Commission is required to do, whether it is preparation of electoral rolls or it is conduct of elections or maintaining neutrality during elections, providing level playing field, etc., none of this is dependent on the working of the government. It has directly a relationship with the people.
And democracy.
And democracy, of course. But the way in which their role is envisaged, unlike any other constitutional body, take the parliament, take judiciary, take finance commission, all of them, their working is largely intertwined with the working of the government. The judiciary also, half the time, ends up deciding cases in which government is a party, except the Election Commission of India. Because their primary role, as I said, is whether people are included in the electoral roll, how good, clean the electoral roll is, and how fairly is the elections conducted, in which people are able to reach the polling station. What has happened is that there were so many ways in which Election Commission would deal with the stakeholders. Let's take the relationship with the media. I think the Election Commission always held media as a friend. Same is the case with civil society organizations. Same is the case with any other stakeholder. Election Commission always approached people with an open mind. Now, the moment you start distancing yourself or doubting the intention of any of these stakeholders, that is when the trust is breached. And unfortunately, I feel that in the last several years, there has been a lack of communication between the Election Commission and the other stakeholders, which is what has led to this kind of recrimination or lack of appreciating the viewpoint of someone. So if you distance yourself from the people, then they will start questioning everything that you do, which may not be bad intentioned.
Mm-hmm. So this brings me, you're talking about the press conference, this brings me to the recent CC Gyanesh Kumar's press conference, the way he conducted it and the way he answered the question, the way he tried to express his, I wouldn't say opinion, but the facts to the people. What do you have to say? Because, you know, saying CCTV footage should not be shared, like because mothers and sisters' videos are there, asking the leader of opposition for, you know, submission of affidavit or apology. Such statements, is it like CC statement we can expect from, can we expect something like this from him, or has things changed? Because I don't remember Election Commission conducting such a press conference ever.
You know, Poonam, I think Election Commission, even if it sounds a little insolent, Election Commission should consider that it is a little above all the players in the game. And it can never have an adversarial position either with the political parties or with the people or any stakeholder for that matter. So the feedback which one has received and the opinion that people have expressed in various forums do indicate that if the purpose of the press conference was to clear doubts and convince the media and the people about what Election Commission was doing, it certainly didn't serve its purpose because it has led to more questions. I don't think that Election Commission should ever start by questioning the motives of people who are asking questions. The moment you start questioning somebody's motive, then you lose the content of what he's saying. Because I think you have to focus on the content. You're a public authority. And as a public authority, if anybody brings it forward an issue, or leave aside somebody bringing it forward, even if it gets reported in the media, I think the basic response has to be that, is the content right? Does it need my response? Do I have to come forward and present another point of view, which is the official point of view? I think that has to be your gut reaction. You can't quarrel with any complainant.
So this also brings me to the question that Election Commission is doing something and the ruling party, BJP, is commenting on that, and everybody else is on the other side. For instance, Bihar ECI. What do you have to say? Is this a trend or is it for the first time?
Well, in fact, people used to say that the Election Commission's neutrality is judged by the displeasure that the ruling party has with the Election Commission. Whenever a body like the Election Commission or a judiciary takes a decision, half the people will be dissatisfied and half the people who think that the decision is in their favor will be satisfied. Giving the example of a famous cricket umpire, Dickie Bird, that even if he took any decision which may have been wrong, the players were satisfied because they never doubted
the trust,
his,
you mean?
Yeah.
So you believe that the trust is somewhere shaken a lot among people and the opposition?
That is what several surveys reported in the media are indicating.
But sir, what should people do? Like even the opposition party is now crawling with their press conference. They are trying to bring out facts. Journalists are reporting on various things, but there's no response from the Election Commission.
I would feel that, people should not lose their faith in the institution, because after all, this institution has a 75-year-old history. And even though commissioners come and go, because they come for a fixed period, it is the large body of people who perform various functions in the field who also matter. So I have always said that judging the performance of the Election Commission or evaluating should not be done only from the point of view of the conduct of the three gentlemen.
They're the top bosses.
Fine. But the machinery which is working, they are also doing a job. And I think the way they have delivered is a great source of satisfaction. So questioning the credibility of an institution because of a few instances might be right, but it should not lead to loss of faith, complete loss of faith. And that is where I feel that for any institution, whether it is a company or a regulatory body or a constitutional body, you have to continuously keep introspecting. You can't dismiss people's opinion as saying कि ठीक है सोचने दो भाई हम तो ठीक कर रहे हैं, even if you're doing the right thing.
So this brings me to the question, the recent LOP press conference in which he spoken about deletion. In the first, we saw that they completely rejected all the claims and said that EC can't do anything. In the second press conference where he spoke about deletion of Alant constituency and he brought out some facts. So the response was like, okay, you're saying whatever you're saying is not completely true because you know the tweet, all of us have read, that no, this is not true, voters can't delete, and we registered an FIR, and later on they came out with the details that no, these many were not deleted. And then e-sign facility, an additional feature which was added for the deletion of the voters. So sir, this entire way of approaching, first discarding or saying no, misrepresentation, then coming up with their own facts, and then adding on the feature, which to me, it appears a knee-jerk reaction to the entire thing. What do you have to say about the entire timeline after the press conference that we see?
Being a public body, if any complaint, grievance, irregularity is brought to your notice, you cannot but respond to it positively. And when I say positively, it means that you have to look at it with an open mind. What has happened? Somebody is telling you that your electoral roll, the electoral roll of the Election Commission for one constituency has been analyzed, and these are the discrepancies which we have found, which involves 100,000 people, thereabouts. Now, Election Commission has not denied that it is not their electoral roll. And after all, ECI is the custodian of the electoral roll, because even if the complaint was wrong, even if the analysis that was done could have been easily explained, who will do it? The voters are not responsible for explaining that. The other parties are not responsible. It is for the Election Commission to come clear and say, okay, we have looked at all your complaints and this is our finding. In the second instance, what has happened? Somebody has pointed out that there was an effort to infiltrate your system, right? And I don't think this is something new. After all, ever since the advent of technology, and particularly the cyber technology, etc., aren't we all conscious of cyber attacks?
Absolutely.
Right?
There are flaws.
Right.
Yeah.
And mind you, in your own system, you find that there are so many firewalls which you create. So it is the job of any system manager to continuously look at what are the vulnerabilities in my system. Can somebody breach it? And whenever somebody brings up that, this was an effort made, I think you need to respond in three ways. One, whether that effort was successful. You have to convince the stakeholders that yes, there was an effort, but it was unsuccessful. B, yes, there is this vulnerability and I am working on that vulnerability. And three, of course, you have to consult people who know more than what you do. Because let's face it, no single institution is a repository of all knowledge. And especially in an era where you are yourself adopting technology for better management of your system, you need to be very sure. I mean, when, let's say, the EVM was introduced or when the VVPAT was introduced, isn't it a process of continuous improvement?
Absolutely. And we have seen there were so many controversies around it.
Right. So controversies will persist. Any organization worth its salt will have to look at any of these observations, complaints, and come out and convince people, A, so that the confidence of people is not diluted, and B, people don't think that this organization is so complacent that we can fiddle around with its system.
So I want a very specific question, because the way we have seen EC's press conference, but the way they try to do fact check on the press conferences and tweet it and convey people that the opposition is totally lying through their teeth and what we are doing is correct. What do you have to say about this? Because this actually brings a lot of question in the minds of the people. Are they working for the government, that the response looks like, as if it's coming from the government? So what do you have to say on that?
Well, that is one way of looking at it, what you're saying. But the other way is also that, when any individual or any institution, if it starts feeling that it is being unfairly attacked, there could be a reaction by which it gets into the defensive mode. That is where I feel that an institution like ECI should never think that it is being attacked by anyone.
They're taking it personally, you mean to say?
They are people are bringing out their grievances before you.
Yeah.
And as I said, that, after all, Election Commission is 3 commissioners, 6, 7, 800 people who are permanent employees, but 15 million people who work in the field for the Election Commission. So how can you take guarantee for everyone's conduct or performance?
So the structure itself is such that only 600 employees of the EC. And the rest are
the rest are people who are commissioned to do a certain work. And mind you, legally, the buck stops with them. Electoral registration stops with the ERO. Then there are appeals. Conduct of elections and declaration of result stops with the returning officer.
Who's again a state...
Right. Then there are appeals. So statutorily, this is the architecture. ECI is above all this. Superintendence, direction and control. So the control has been given by the Constitution that all these guys function under your authority. You can take action against them as far as election-related work is concerned.
So this also brings to the question that the conduct of election rules, 93(2)(b), I guess, that rule was changed and it actually restricted a lot of documents and videography related to the elections. And ECI has also said that we can't share. And this change and the footage which was primarily demanded was the CCTV footage of the polling day itself, because we've seen sudden spike and those questions were raised. What is it that CCTV footage should not be shared? Why is it a big problem?
Well, I think as far as that decision is concerned, it was ill-timed. Maybe in circumstances where there were no complaints, and if EC had discussed with all the political parties that, look, this is the reason why we think we would not like to share this information, they could have arrived at a more amicable solution. But B, more than the timing, it was bad optics.
Yeah, you're right. It was absolutely bad optics.
It was bad optics.
Yeah.
And 3, you see, if you look at the history of CCTV coverage and how many people have ever asked for a CCTV footage. So I don't think that there have been many requests in the past for people to ask for CCTV footage. It was believed that this is a mechanism for internal management by the Election Commission. The more coverage you have, webcasting or whatever other electronic form of, online form of monitoring, it will be that people who are conducting, they know that they are being watched. I don't think it was ever envisaged that somebody will want it to produce as an evidence. Because as far as if you go by the law, it is only the documents prescribed in law that have evidentiary value. But that's a very technical way of looking at it. So as I said, that even this decision, if it had been taken after due consultation, people do understand. After all, let's look at the Right to Information Act. See the architecture of Right to Information. There is a possibility for the public authorities to deny information.
Yes.
Right? There are various circumstances in which you can deny. So even the lawmakers have recognized the possibility of withholding information or not providing it to somebody who asks for it under different circumstances. So I think in this particular instance, that was not the right time for them to take this decision. And if there had been a proper evaluation of why is it that the CCTV footage is being sought, and can we part with the limited footage that is being asked for, they could have arrived at a different decision.
Sir, this also, as far as the data and all these are concerned, in the deletion press conference which Rahul Gandhi held, in that he said that CID of Karnataka asked for the IP address of the mobile phones, and there are different kind of like destination IP, device destination port, OTP trail and details. Does EC have all these details and the claim that the FIR was launched. And then after that, we did not see any sort of change, but now the extra feature is there. So what kind of data do EC really have?
Well, I think, see, since these are all technical aspects, I would imagine that the ECA has to provide whatever they have, because it's a legal investigation which is going on. And B, they must say that we don't have any other data. So the moment they say that we have no other data with us, that brings out clean. That whatever data we have, we are sharing with you in the interest of proper investigation, because let's not forget that the ECI itself had registered an FIR.
Yeah, they were the ones who
Right?
complained. Yeah.
But there is one more broader issue which I need to mention, even though you not asked for it. All the offences which are registered, which are called electoral offences or offences committed during elections or related to elections. What is the follow-up mechanism of these offences? Because after all, as I said, EC is a small outfit and it loses its jurisdiction the moment election process is over. The responsibility of investigation, prosecution, all lies with the state, whether central or state government. How well they are investigating a particular offence, how have they prepared the charge sheet, or how have they prosecuted, all that I don't think ECI has a mechanism to monitor. But more than that, I would feel, and I have suggested this in the past, that the National Crime Records Bureau, which brings out a statistical abstract of all kinds of cases which are registered in the country, state-wise, they should immediately start giving a different category, which is the electoral offences.
That's a very good idea.
Right? And every time they bring out their statistics, they must mention state-wise or whatever is their format, that these are the electoral offences and this is the update on those offences. I am sure that there are cynics who would say that, okay, so what will happen? I think what will happen is that people will start looking at this data separately. Election Commission would start looking at this data particularly, and they then have to keep asking questions to the state government that tell us what happened to these cases. So unless this kind of follow-up mechanism is established, I don't think there can be an effective outcome of all the cases that you register.
So deletion has become a major problem with Bihar SIR, we all know. The first question on SIR is that asking the citizenship itself from the very beginning. Is that Election Commission's mandate?
No. And you see, you have to appreciate a dilemma of the Election Commission. The dilemma is that Article 326 says that you have to be a citizen to be a voter. Right? But the response to that dilemma is that that's what you've done for the last 75 years. How many people have filed complaints? I'm not talking about the Bihar, but even otherwise, the provision for anybody to object to an ineligible person having entered your electoral roll, that exists in the Act, it exists in the rules. Let us see how many people have filed complaints. That doesn't mean that there is no possibility of somebody ineligible getting into your role. What I am trying to emphasize is that there is an established procedure under which an inquiry can be conducted questioning the eligibility of any individual as far as citizenship is concerned. To my mind, somebody who migrated from one part of the country to another is not ineligible as an elector. It is only that he should be registered in some other place, which he declares as his place of residence. So, for anyone to say, even Bihar itself is a good case. We've conducted the SIR, now that process is almost completing. Out of 7.89 crore, 7.24 were in the draft roll. So clearly, as far as ECI's preliminary data is concerned, there is no question on that. Now look at the 65 lakh which were excluded from the electoral roll. How many are ineligible because their citizenship is in doubt or has been questioned?
We don't really know the data.
So what is the purpose of going that way? And I think that the special intensive revision, any special intensive revision in future, it should not be predicated upon ascertaining the citizenship of individuals. And let me be very clear that nobody is arguing that you should not clean the electoral roll. Nobody is saying that non-citizens should be allowed. But you have to do it as per the established procedure. A. B is that purification of electoral rolls contains several elements, not only ineligibility. So let us try to audit. Election Commission should carry out an audit of its own electoral roll, state-wise. There could be some states where the quality is very good. There is very little contamination. And only if you find that there is large-scale contamination, then you should target that is the element we want to get rid of. This category of 65 lakh has been broken up, at least that is the analysis in the public domain. People who are dead. So those who are dead are dead.
But
they're not ineligible.
And many turned out to be alive later on, the facts and reports.
That's a different thing. But what I'm saying is, in terms of Article 326, which says citizen 18 years, not disqualified under any law, not of insane mind. So those who have died, they need to be removed because they are dead, not ineligible. Those who have shifted, migrated 35, 36 lakhs, they are also not ineligible. They are eligible to be electors, but they may not be eligible to be enrolled in this particular constituency. They can be enrolled somewhere else. So, in terms of citizenship, you are not holding it against them. The same is the case with duplicate entries. So, I think the nub of the issue and the reason for all the controversy is the use of the phrase presumption of citizenship. You can carry out purification without employing these phrases.
This nationwide SIR is being conducted, and we know that things which are happening now nationwide, let's keep aside Bihar, the matter is also in the Supreme Court. It's happening in a different way. There's no clarity on the documents yet. And the important thing that was discussed, or the controversy, was all about the documents. Aadhaar was included on Supreme Court's order. But what do you have to say the way they are conducting SIR nationwide? And what should people do? I would say for the voters also, I would like you to speak for them. What should they do?
See, one thing which I think a lot of people feel is that the irregularities that have been brought out in the electoral roll, they need to be corrected. So many political leaders have brought this up, and individually there are electors who have faced this difficulty about not being enrolled or their name figuring in a different place or their address is different. The most important element of this preparation is to prepare the people for this exercise. You know that Election Commission has a very robust sweep program, which is a systematic voter education program. And they have outreach throughout the country. And let me also tell you that having been associated with this program, they've done a very good job in the sense that they have these electoral literacy clubs in colleges and NGOs and so many places. I think we should use them to disseminate our intent and the process. I don't think that people will have major difficulty if they are adequately alerted
Informed. Yeah.
and informed.
Like Jan Sabha, you're talking there are Jan Sabhas also, which has happened in the past.
So there are so many mechanisms by which, after all, see, this country is so huge and so many operations in this country have been conducted, not now, over the last 100 years. Census operation. You think you can conduct a census without people's participation?
Not
You
possible.
can't. I have said this earlier and I don't mind saying it again. Special intensive revision, the kind which we attempted in Bihar, should not be done in any state which is facing elections imminently. You have to give good gap between the conclusion of your revision exercise and the actual election, so that whatever difficulties or grievances people have, they still have time to sort it out. After all, you see, every individual's voting right matters. Not only to him, ECI's motto is also no voter should be left behind. And every vote counts. So if every vote counts, then we have to create an environment in which everyone is satisfied that I have been given adequate opportunity to be enrolled.
I feel you're right that inclusiveness of people is very much required. And with that note, I feel we should sum up with this, that transparency, communication, inclusiveness of people, and also not taking things personally that it's on the Election Commission or the CC. Rather, it's a thing which is being told, and EC should improve on that. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And it was great interview. Very insightful to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.